Well, I tell you guys what, I was not expecting Zephyr to be in such high demand, and you guys too want a Zephyr deck profile like you guys came out the gate with the Zephyr versus World Chalice duel. And for the people that don't know what I'm talking about, click on that annotation right there. It'll take you to an amazing game between both World Chalice and Zephyr. And if you guys still want to see that World Chalice deck profile, let's get this video to 100 likes. And also, of course, let me know down below in the comment section you want to see World Chalice with the hashtag deck profile. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then also make sure you destroy that subscribe button as well. But while we're here, you just might as well Zefra that notification bell because we're just too strong. I can't really think of too many puns for Zephyrs, but they do remind me of zebras because this is a deck that has always been known to change its strikes since the inception, completely evolving into a really good pendulum deck. Alright guys, so getting into the stats of this deck, attack and defense are pretty decent. You know, it's consistency, like overall the deck's just really decent. It doesn't have anything that's really strong about it, but it's not necessarily weak at any given thing. I want to say that this is probably the future of pendulum decks, because we can kind of say that Astrograph and Chronograph Sorcerer will get some type of hit, and this deck doesn't care about either of those. So looking into the monsters, we're going to run 3 copies of the main card of the deck. Zefra is really powerful. Basically, when it's in your pin scale, you can put one Zephyr Pendulum card from your deck to your extra deck, and then this card gains, or this card's level becomes that. Its monster effect you'll probably never use, but it allows you to tribute all your monsters you control with at least 3 Zephyr monsters to spell summon this card to your side of the field, and then you get the Pendulum summon a second time. So it's still a really good card. It can be a game ender if you decide to summon this guy because he's 3,400 attack. Just a very powerful card. Next for the Zephyrs, another really important Zephyr that we run 3 of is 3 copies of Zephyr Nui's Secret of the Yangzing. This card's really powerful, and all Zephyr monsters except for Zefroth pendulum scale is you cannot pendulum summon monsters except for Zephyr monsters or what they're originally from. Zephyr Nui being originally a Yangzing monster, but basically when this card is pendulum summoned or when it's destroyed by a card effect, you can add 1 Zefra or Yangzing card from your deck to your hand. It's really good at searching everything you need from your deck to your hand. It has to be a spell and trap card, unfortunately, but it still gets us basically anything we want. Lastly, to sum up the Yangzing monsters, they just happen to be the best of the best. We run 3 copies of Zefroxy, Treasure of the Yangzing. Normally, you want to summon both of these monsters in tandem because when Zefroxy is summoned, you can target one other Zephyr or Yangzing monster you control and turn it into a tuner monster. So basically, you summon Zephyr Nui and Zefroxy at the same time, use Zefroxy's effect to target Zephyr Nui and turn it into a tuner, and then Zephyr Nui's Chain Link 1. Now your opponent has a really hard time of negating your Zephyr Nui effect with cards like Ash Blossom. It's almost impossible. It's really good at that. It's also one of the better cards because it does make any of your Zephyr monsters a tuner, which allows you for some really good synchro summon plays. 1 copy of Shadow Zephyr Core. This card is nasty good. When it's pendulum summoned or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Zephyr monster in your pendulum scale. It's really good at tutoring free Electromite plays. And then 1 copy of Zephyr or Satellar Knight Zephyr Thubin. I'm really terrible at enunciating names, but when this card is normal summoned or pendulum summoned, you can target 1 face-up card or one card your opponent controls and 1 face-up card you control and destroy them. It's really good for helping you clear boards. And then last for Zephyr monsters, we play 1 copy of Ritual Beast Tamer Zephyrendi. When this card is normal summoned or pendulum summoned, you can add 1 of your cards from your Zephyr scale to your hand. So basically, we cover a pretty good array of effects. We get searching, we get turning any monster to a tuner, free special summons, destruction, and recursion. This card's really good because Zefroth can actually tutor cards that you need in your pendulum scale. And seeing that we can't summon monsters from our extra deck to our side of the field as free as we were in Master Rule 3, this card, it becomes really important to tutoring those monsters back into our hand. So that's it for all of the Zephyr monsters we play. A couple of Zephyrs that I did look into was the other Satellar Knight Zephyr monster, but there isn't a lot of back row, enough back row for me to warrant to main it. And then also I looked into the other Ritual Beast counterpart that allows me to spell summon from the graveyard, but I don't send enough Zephyr monsters to the graveyard to actually gain true effects of it. I mean, also the other Shadow monster isn't terrible, but none of them I didn't feel were really good enough to play. Next, we run the off support. This card is a little odd in the deck because it is Perform About Odd Eye Synchron. This card's a star. I'm serious. It's really good. The only effect we really want to pay attention to is that once per turn, you can special summon a monster from your pendulum zone to your side of the field, and then immediately after it resolves, you use it for a synchro summon. It's really good at tutoring monsters to your side of the field for free summons, and it has so many combos that I'll show you at the end of the video. That's it for the more off support. We actually run the Mythical Beast engine. So 3 copies of Mythical Beast Master Cerebus and 2 copies of Mythical Beast Jackal King. While this deck doesn't need Astrograph Sorcerer, or Chronograph Sorcerer, you kind of do need to be able to special summon monsters, pendulum monsters to your side of the field, and it'd be nice to special summon them before you have to commit to your pendulum summon. And Mythical Beast Master Cerebus and Jackal King really fit that description. The best part about these cards is that Jackal King is a level 6 monster, so it does work really well with our Xe plays. And Master Cerebus you'll never summon. I'll promise you that. It's level 8. Our highest scale is summon. You're just never going to summon it. It's literally to search the Jackal King and to get us the free monster. Or I'm sorry, Jackal King's going to summon this monster, but you're never going to summon it the right way. There are times you're going to you can put enough spell counters on it to banish cards, but more often than not, this is the star of the deck. I wish I could run more copies, as well as more copies of Mythical Beast monsters, because they're not terrible. Next, we run 3 copies of Supreme King Dragon Dark Worm. This card is nasty, especially when you pair it with Supreme King Gate 0. Now, Gate 0 is our preferred low scale inside of this entire deck, which is why we run 2 copies, mainly because, like I said, all of our Zephyr cards force us to only be able to spell summon Zephyrs, where Gate 0 doesn't have a restriction. It also works really well because it's a level 7, and it combos really well for making us Synchro 9 plays. And then Dark Worm is the most important starter card of the deck. Having this card in your graveyard and then special summoning it to your side of the field fuels so many combos. It's just insane. That's it for the Supreme King engine. And then lastly, we run 2 hand traps, 1 copy of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring and 1 copy of Ghost Ogre. These guys actually serve 2 functions. First of all, they're level 3 tuners, so they're really good inside of this deck. There's a specific combo that requires you to special summon or pendulum summon one of them. And then also the next thing is that they're great against the meta. Being able to stop, negate searches and then being able to destroy monsters or card effects before they can resolve are really good. So these cards are very searchable inside of this deck, so you don't need more than 1 copy of each to begin with. That's it for the monsters. For the spells, 3 copies of Oracle of Zephyr. This is the most important spell card of the deck because it searches you all of your monsters from your deck to your hand, and more importantly, it gains effects depending on the type of summon that you make. Now, you only can make Exceed summons and Synchro summons effectively in this deck, and that's pretty good because the Synchro summon allows you to put a stack of monsters to the top of your deck, so whenever you need those hand traps. And then the Exceed summon allows you to draw a card and discard a card. So if you can Synchro summon and then Exceed follow up with an Exceed summon right after, you can basically search a hand trap with Oracle of Zefra. But that's not the biggest reason why we run it. The biggest reason why we run it is because we can instantly stack the card that we need off of 1 Synchro summon. But Oracle of Zephyr is a very powerful card in this deck. To complement the Oracle of Zephyr, of course, we run 3 copies of Terraforming to search the Oracle of Zephyr and nothing else. 3 copies of Zephyr Providence. Now, this card also is an additional 3 copies of Terraforming because it allows us to search the Oracle of Zephyr, but more importantly, it allows us to search Zephyr cards from our deck to our hand. And since we need Supreme King Dark Worm to the graveyard as fast as possible, 3 copies of Dragon Shrine. Now, we were running Destrudo Noodle inside of this deck before, but Destrudo just didn't do enough for us. I just didn't see enough play for Destrudo to be warranted. Now, you could run Ravine and, all that cute stuff, but a lot of times Ancient Fairy Dragon just got stuck in the scale and it was like nothing we can do about it. Next is 3 copies of Call to the Grave inside of the main board. Yes, this deck is heavily crippled by hand traps. And that's the exact reason why we ran Gamma, or the deck ran Gamma before. But Call to the Grave is just so much better because it doesn't make us rely on a dead Cypher Lord Driver. And it's just a really, really powerful card at stopping your opponent's monster effects. It gives us the edge against Trickstar decks because we have a main deck. Hand trap decks are pretty much gonna fail because we have this card inside of our main deck. And then lastly, 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Just another card to get you your Dark Worm. It's really important that we get into our Dark Worm. And since we play every single one of our spells can be negated by Ash Blossom, I thought that 3 Call to the Grave was really good. That's it for the spells. For the traps, of course, 1 copy of Zephyr Divine Strike. It's an Infernity Barrier. It's a Solemn Judgment on steroids. All we have to do is banish a Zephyr monster from our extra deck to negate spell trap or monster effect, so it's pretty good. And then 1 Zephyr War. We probably won't be able to use this card's effect from the hand, which would make it a genuine hand trap. but unfortunately, you know, we normally have like Supreme King in our skills, but the fact that we could use it from our hand is amazing, and the fact that it allows us to destroy cards our opponent controls. This deck is really solid. I don't think that there was anything I would change about it, other than the fact that it is 43 cards, but almost actually every single card in here is important, so it was like, I can't really side against the card. I mean, I guess you could drop a Call to the Grave, but it was like, you don't want to lose to Ash Blossom. Next, for the extra deck, we run one copy of Zefra Metaltron. Boy, this card is pretty decent. It doesn't really do much more in the Zephyr strategy than it does in the normal Pendulum Magician strategy, but it's still a really good card to link into after you finish with your Electromite and you want to go deeper into your plays. With those 3 arrows pointing down, it really does help. You only need 2 copies of Electromite inside of this build. To be honest with you guys, if Electromite does get hit, which I doubt it, and it'll probably get hit to 2 because of Electromite Turbo. It might get hit to 1, but you really only need 1 in this deck to continue to go off. This deck doesn't rely on its Link Summon like other decks. 1 copy of Xiao Fang. This card is nasty against any Earth-based deck because you'll normally be making it with 2 Earth monsters, but basically your opponent can't use monster effects of whatever Yangzing monsters you use to summon it, and it searches tuners when it's destroyed. Also, it special summons monsters from your deck to your side of the field, so that's pretty good. 1 copy of Cloud Castle. This card allows you to go into your rank 9 plays when you're done synchro summoning. 1 X-Saber, got him. This is part of so many great combos, and I know it's like a random card in here, but it's really good at snatching your opponent's card out of your hand and putting a level 9 into your graveyard to special summon Cloud Castle. 1 copy of Sideframe Lord Omega to snatch more cards out of your opponent's hand. Crystal Wing Dragon, you won't make this card as often as you would like, but you do have the extra deck space. Boxy is also another really great card. Not oftenly made, but when you do, you're probably going to win the game because its effect is just so good. 1 copy of Yazi. Yazi is the only 7 that we play, and when it is destroyed, it can special summon a Worm monster from our deck to our side of the field. Cough, cough, or Yangzings that will trigger their effects. It's just a really awesome card. 1 copy of Coral Dragon. Now, Coral Dragon is just big and back being boo. It's the alternative 6 that we can go into, and it allows us to draw a card when it's synchro summoned, so it almost does fulfill the needs of you know, the card that we have, the Oracle or Zephyr, and all we have to do is get rid of it with a Link, Synchro, or whatever play. 1 copy of Stardust Charge Warrior. Now, this card is the stacking card. What you do is you have Oracle or Zephyr on your side of the field, and you synchro summon a Stardust Charge Warrior. Charge Warrior's Chain Link 1, Zephyr's Chain Link 2. You put the card that you want, which is a hand trap, to the top of your deck, and then you can draw it off a Charge Warrior, so it essentially becomes a free search. 1 copy of True King of All Calamities. Card's just really nutty. Photon Strike Bouncer. You find yourself in a lot of awkward spots where you make 6s, and Strike Bouncer is one of the best level 6s. And then, of course, Constellar Ptolemy M7, 2 recurse cards or bounce problematic threats. Now, that is it for the extra deck. For the side deck, you guys could give or take. It's not really much really interesting, and I'm gonna kind of blaze through it since I'm gonna show you guys some of the combos. 2 copies of Drolin Lock. Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre. Depending on whatever meta situation you're in, just play the appropriate hand traps. 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, True Draco, back row heavy decks. A lot of decks don't like their cards being banished, so it's pretty good. 3 copies of Forbidden Chalice. If my opponent's trying to stop me from going off, this card allows me to negate their negation and then continue to pop off on my plays. Raigeki and Dark Hole for board wipes, and then 3 copies of Evenly Matched. These other 2 was lame. I ain't never evenly matched. If you guys can't afford Evenly Matched or Ash Blossoms, I'd advise you to play like Ghost Ogres or Effect Veilers, and then Evenly Matched, you can just play Kaijus. Those are all pretty awesome choices. I don't think other than that, this deck has any other cards that are overly expensive that you can't play. I guess if you guys actually, the Mythical Beast engine, if you guys have to, you can go down to playing the Astrograph Sorcerer. Astrograph Sorcerer isn't that really beneficial into this deck because you play so many one-ofs as Pendulum Monsters, so you won't be able to really search a lot of great cards that you destroy, but ultimately it's not a terribly bad card. Well, that is it for the main board, extra deck, and sideboard. Let me get you guys to these combo tutorials because it is nasty and I got so much to show you guys. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so there are quite a few combos I want to show you guys that Zephyr can do, and it's basically what makes this deck really awesome. Starting off with combo number 1, I don't even know what combo it is. I'm just going to reveal it. All right, so we need 3 Zephyr monsters, 1 Zephyr Nui, 1 Zephyroth, and 1 Zephyroxy, and we're going to see exactly how this board ends us up with. What I'm going to do first is activate Zephyroth in the Pendulum Scale, and then use the effect of Zephyroth to put Shadow Zefra core from our deck to our extra deck. Next, what I'm going to do is complete the scale by activating Zefroxy. Let me switch these two around. I don't like them like that. Activating Zefroxy into our scale, and since we have 1 and 7, I'm going to go ahead and pendulum summon both Zefra core and Zefra Nui to my side of the field, triggering both the effects of Zefra Nui and Zefra core being Chain Link 2, Zefra Nui being Chain Link 1, and if I am correct, what do I want to search from my deck to my hand? It's going to be a Zefra Providence this time around. And then also Zefra Core is going to special summon Zefroxy to my side of the field. The next thing I want to do is use both the Zefra Core and the Zefroxy as link material. I'm going to put that right there for our Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. And then I'm going to trigger off Electromite's effect to put a monster from my extra deck to my hand, or from my deck to my extra deck, my apologies. And that card I'm going to be putting is... No, it's not going to be you. It's going to be Perform. Okay, so next, after I've added Perform Odd Eye Synchron from my deck to my hand, I'm going to use the Zefra Providence. Now, you don't have to necessarily search the Zefra Providence, but you do need to wind up with, where is that card? The Field Spell. It might actually be in another one of my combos, so let me just dig into this one. It's right here. You're going to need to get your Oracle of Zephyr from your deck to your hand, and then use that to search any other level 4 Zephyr monster you have. Unfortunately, I only run 2. I really wanted to run a third one because there is another combo with the third one, and I just don't see any cards to drop out, possibly as Zefroxy, but Zefroxy is a really strong card. So use the effect of Zefra Providence to search Oracle of Zephyr, and then activate Zephyr Thubin, or the level 4 monster, into your pendulum scale. Keep in mind, this is... keep in mind you have not normal summoned yet, so now you can use Electromite to either destroy your Zephyr, Oracle of Zephyr, your Zefroth, or if you had another pendulum monster, you can destroy that one before putting Thubin into your scale. So I'm going to use Zefroth for, just purposes to add the Odd Eye Synchron to my hand, and then I'll get to draw a card. I'll normal summon Portal Odd Eye Synchron and activate its effect, special summoning Thubin to my side of the field, and then using both of these monsters for a Synchro summon. And that's ironically going to bring out, where is that card? Great, now I'm just missing all cards. It's going to bring out the Stardust Charge Warrior to our side of the field. Charge Warrior is going to activate as Chain Link 1. Oracle of Zephyr is going to activate as Chain Link 2. What we're going to do is stack any hand trap to the top of our deck and draw it. And then we can use both the Zefra Nui and the Stardust Charge Warrior for the Exceed summon of Strike Bouncer. So our ending board off of those 3 cards is going to wind us with a Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, a Photon Strike Bouncer, an Blossom Enjoy Spring, and an additional card in our hand. So many great combos with that. So I'm going to go ahead and steal this Oracle of Zephyr and use it for our next combo, which is Master Cerebus, Oracle of Zephyr, and also Dragon's Ravine. And this is where the combos start to get a little bit more heavier, because I know this combo is a pretty interesting combo. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with Dragon Shrine, sending... Where's that important card? Supreme King Darkworm, and then using Darkworm's effect to add Gate 0 from my deck to my hand. So my graveyard is Dragon Shrine, my field is Darkworm, and my other card is Supreme King Gate 0. Next, I'm going to activate Master Cerebus in the scale. I'm going to destroy the Cerebus. Apologize, I'm putting my extra deck cards right here. Actually, I'm going to put them right here as opposed to on top of my deck to make things easier. That is going to go ahead and add the Jackal King, activate the Jackal King, and then use Jackal King's effect to destroy itself to summon your Master Cerebus to your side of the field. Now you can use both the Cerebus and the Supreme King Darkworm for a link summon. And those monsters, the monster that we're going to link summon is, you won't believe it, Metal Foes Electromite. So Electromite's effect is going to trigger, and that's going to allow us to put any monster that we please from our extra deck, or from our deck to our extra deck. I'm going to put Zefroxy to our extra deck because it's going to be pretty important later on down the road. I'm going to activate my Oracle of Zephyr and then use Oracles of Zephyr's effect to get Zefroth into the scale, to play Zefra Nui in the scale, and then we're going to play Supreme King Gate 0 in the scale. Now we are pretty close to pendulum summoning, but I'm going to use Electromite's effect to destroy the Oracle of Zephyr. And keep in mind, if you guys have another pendulum scale, you can destroy the scale first, keep your Oracle of Zephyr, as well as draw an additional card. And that's going to go ahead and add Mythical Beast, Jackal King from my extra deck to my hand. And now I'm going to continue to pendulum summon. I'm going to pendulum summon the Zefra Nui, the Zefroxy, and the Mythical Beast Jackal King. Now, what you guys could do, you could have got the Odd Eyes Performapal Synchron for a Synchro 8. That's not a bad idea either, but I'm scouting that my opponent is playing a deck that highly relies on their Earth monsters, so I'm going to use both the Zefra Nui and the, I'm going to use both the Zefra Nui and the Zefroxy's effects to search and make the Zefroxy a tuner. That's going to get me Zefra Providence. It's really important that you guys get the Providence this time around. And now you're going to Synchro summon with both of your monsters into the Xiaofeng. Consequently, you can go into X-Saber Gotems to rip a card out of your opponent's hand, or if you already have a level 9 monster in your graveyard, you can go into Cloud Castle to make your True Kings of all calamities. Next, you're going to use Zefra Providence, and that's going to stack 2 counters on the Mythical Beast Jackal King. And then that's going to add, where is that card? Zephyr Divine Strike from your deck to your hand. So now you have 2 negates, a hard negate that prevents all Earth monsters effects, and a pretty decent sized board off of those 3 cards. The next card combo, it looks like it's going to be a 4 card combo, and this one's a little bit more tricky than the combos that I've been showing you guys. Okay, so the next combo is going to require 4 cards. I completely butchered on it, so I had to completely redo it. And through the combo, I actually realized that this is a lot bigger if you get the Zefrindi in your hand. The combo is just bananas. So we're going to start off with the first Dragon Shrine to send Darkworm to the graveyard, Darkworm to special summon itself to grab Supreme King Gate 0. Next, you're going to activate the Gate 0 in the scale, and then you're going to activate the Oracle of Zefra, and that's going to tutor the Zefroth from your deck to your hand. Activate the Zefroth into your scale, and then put Zefra Nui into your extra deck. Next, you're going to normal summon Zefrindi and use Zefrindi's effect to add the Zefra Nui from your extra deck to your hand, then use both of these monsters to link summon into your Electromite. Now, it's really important that you use Zefrindi in this particular combo because it makes your board so much bigger, but if you don't have Zefrindi, it doesn't matter which monster you can use. There's a different route. You just won't gain the effect of the monster. Now, since I have Electromite in the extra deck, I'm going to activate Electromite's effect, and with that, I have 6, and then the other 6, so that works out. With that, I'm going to add, Now, here's where I got lost last time because I didn't use Zefrindi properly. But basically, I'm going to be able to special summon you, and another. And those 2 will make that, and then you're just a standalone. For sure, we're going to add Jackal King into our extra deck. And I'm going to return all these cards into my hand, respectively. Next, what I'm going to do, I'm going to Pendulum Summon 4 monsters to my side of the field. And yes, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit is going to be one of them. I'm going to Pendulum Summon the Ghost Ogre, the Zefra Nui, the Jackal King, and the Zefrindi to my side of the field. Zefrindi already used her effect, but Zefra Nui will be able to use its effect to search me Zefra Providence from my deck to my hand. The very next thing I'm going to do is use the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit and the Zefrindi for a Synchro summon. Well, actually, this goes to the extra deck, that goes to the graveyard. And with that, I'm going to special summon Stardust Charge Warrior to my side of the field. Charge Warrior's effect is going to activate. And with that, I'm going to stack the other hand trap, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, to the top of my deck. It's going to add itself to my hand. Now, I am not done by a long stretch. We're going to use both the Zefra Nui and the Stardust Charge Warrior to make Platalamous M7. And then M7's effect is going to detach the Zefra Nui to add the Ghost Ogre in my hand. Lastly, I'm going to activate the Zefra Providence, which is going to stack 2 counters on my Mythical Beast Jackal King to add the Zephyr Divine Strike from my deck to my hand. And basically, my ending board is really nasty. I have 2 negates inside of Jackal King. I have double hand traps. I have Constellar Ptolemy M7, which can bounce a card, and a Heavy Levelfoes Electromite. That combo took a lot more. I had to think about that combo and sit down like, God, this combo is really long. But this 4-card combo basically gets you into a really big board and basically showcasing what Zephyrs can do. Okay, so the last combo is going to be very short. I like it because you run 3 of just about, or actually you run 3 of every single card in, okay, so the last combo is really, really simplistic. It runs, it's really easy to make this combo because every single one of these cards are 3-ofs, and they're extremely searchable for the exception of Dragon Shrine. And basically, this is the combo that you guys can consistently make. You're going to start off with Dragon Shrine, sending Supreme King Gate Darkworm from your deck to your graveyard. Then using Dark Worm's effect to special summon it to your side of the field, adding Supreme King Gate 0 from your deck to your hand. Now, next thing I'm going to do is activate Oracle of Zefra, and then that's going to allow me to add Zefroxy from my deck to my hand. I'm going to normal summon the Zefroxy and use both of these monsters for a link summon of Heavy Metal Foes Electromite. Electromite's effect is then going to trigger, and that's going to go ahead and add, where's that copy of that card? Perform about Odd Eye Synchron from my deck to my extra deck. Next, I'm going to activate Zephyra into my pin scales, and that's going to finish my setup with Zephyr Nui from my extra deck to my hand. Now, if you guys happen to have another Pendulum monster in your hand, activate it, destroy it with the Heavy Metal Foes Electromite to draw a card and add the Perform Power Odd Eye Synchron from your deck to your hand. But since I'm going with just the bare minimals of this combo, like literally the bare necessities, I'm going to go ahead and activate Gate 0 and use Electromite to destroy Oracle of Zefra to add Perform Power Odd Eye Synchron from my deck to my hand. And then I'm going to follow up with a Pendulum summon of 3 monsters, Perform About Odd Eye Synchron, Zephyr Nui, and Zefroxy. Zephyr Nui is going to be Chain Link 1, Zefroxy is going to be Chain Link 2. It's really important that you guys put it that way because your opponent won't be able to Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring you or Solemn Strike you or your Zephyr Nui if you maneuver it that particular way. So Zephyr Nui is going to add Zephyr Divine Strike, or you can even add Zephyr Providence or Zephyr Ward, depending on which you want to go into. And then I'm going to use both Zephyr Nui and Zefroxy to Synchro Summon into a X-Saber Gothams. Now you're going to end your turn with a very nice 3100 attack beater, a card that prevents your opponent from using guard effects, and just a really solid board. No, that's not how you end. You're going to use Gothams effect to tribute itself to rid your opponent of a card, and then perform about Odd Eye Synchron's effect to special summon Supreme King Gateworm 0, and then Synchro Summon yet again into your Cloud Castle. Now Cloud Castle's effect will activate to special summon the X-Saber Gothams to your side of the field, and you will now use both of those monsters for True King of all Calamities. Now imagine if you guys had the Oracle of Zefra on your side of the field, you would have been able to stack a hand trap to the top of your deck. So for example, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and then you would have been able to draw a card, which would have been drawing the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and then discarding any other card to have an Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, Zephyr Divine Strike, True King of all Calamities, Heavy Metal Foes Electromite, and a Zefroth. And that's basically what this deck is all about. It can consistently make a board like this, and that's why it is so powerful. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give this video a like. Let's get past 150 likes to let you guys know that, hey, Zefra's too strong. And also to get you guys that World Challenge deck profile, please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy. I hope you guys are having a great day like I am.